I really like this music. Keep telling you guys. It's pretzel.rocks. Good stuff. I just set it for the chill station. I like this kind of music. Well, I hope everybody's having a good Tuesday so far. Thank you so much for joining me today on Coffee with Steve. That is our daily reminder. You need to get your cup of coffee, have a sip with me. Hopefully, I did not forget to unmute myself. No, it looks like I am successfully audible. Thank goodness. Well, so today I've got kind of a mix of some news to talk about. Kind of some interesting things that just kind of came across my, I always just check out the news feed, see what's going on. And I came across this. It seems weird to me that I would see this on CNN and they don't even recognize their own hypocrisy, if you will. So I was just reading through and I found the CNN news article saying they wanted a son so much they made their daughter live as a boy. All right, so this whole article is about this kid growing up in Afghanistan, and it's a girl, born biologically a girl, but the parents are basically forcing her to live as a boy. And the main reason is because culturally, boys are worth more, I guess. It's obviously this is a very strange belief system that I think that we would not recognize, but it's very, they call it a patriarchal society, which is probably true, and how sons are more highly valued than daughters. But the bottom line to me is, well, you're basically imposing your beliefs on the kid's gender, and what do we see them advocating for in America? Like, the difference, I guess, that they would claim is that, well, we're letting the kids decide what their gender is. And I get that. I do understand this. And I'm wading into some stuff here that could potentially get, thumbs down and, get me banned on YouTube and all that good stuff. But to me, I think, look, kids at that age don't really understand. And they're very easily influenced. Okay, they're very easily influenced. And if we have a school system and parents and peers that are all just basically like pushing this narrative of you get to choose whichever gender you want, or even if it's the parents, like in this case, forcing the gender upon the kid, is this really the right thing to be doing? Are the kids legitimately old enough to even understand what the experience is that they're going through? I think in both cases it's wrong. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't matter what the purpose is. It doesn't matter what the reasoning is. Okay? The reasoning has nothing to do. All the best of intentions in the world does not change the fact that this is wrong. Okay? I'm going to say it unequivocally. It is wrong. Okay? And we have this 11-year-old transgender kid who basically committed suicide, right? Because of, we don't know the exact reasons. At least I wasn't able to find any particular reason, but there was some discontent, and they had expressed, and I'm using the term they here, they had expressed displeasure with their life and being teased and all of those things, right? Because they were stuck in the wrong body. How does a 10-year-old or 11-year-old even understand the concept of being stuck in the wrong body, of transgenderism? Okay? We've gotten to the point now where education is one thing, but we've gotten to the point where we're almost forcing this upon the younger and younger generations, right? We got kids dressing up in drag outfits. They don't understand this stuff. They haven't even reached puberty yet, and we've got this belief system that's being thrust upon them through the media, through peers, through teachers, through even parents. At what point do we say, whoa, wait a minute. Okay, I don't even care which side of the political aisle you're on. I don't care if you think that it's perfectly acceptable for people to transition. That's fine. But when we start seeing kids that haven't even reached puberty making these kinds of decisions about their life, about the rest of their lives, I think that is a significant problem. Look, when you were 10 or 11 years old, did you really have your entire life figured out? Did you have the wherewithal in your brain to make those kind of decisions, to lay out how you're going to be for the rest of your life? Nobody does. And yet here there's this position that we need to educate them. We need to give them more information so they can make a decision. Why? And now it's the cool thing, right? Now it's the cool thing to do. It's not this really strange, well, I hate to say strange, it's not really the right word. It's a very different, right? It's the non-normal thing to be, right? And there's nothing wrong with not being normal, right? I'm not normal. Nobody's normal. But to say that we need to have set aside specific time for like pushing this kind of idea onto kids, and then it just continues to grow, what used to be an incredibly small, tiny fraction of the population has now just increased tenfold, right? It keeps growing. And where this comes up, like this should have been a private conversation. If kids feel this way, it should be private conversation between them and their parents, and perhaps a psychologist or psychiatrist or whoever, some sort of doctor. It should not be something that is being pushed in the town hall, right? In the square of public opinion, because it's not something that needs to be discussed in the public opinion, because all that's going to do is create this belief that now it's the right thing to do. It's not just this thing to do, and it's not a matter of right or wrong, right? It's not a matter of this is the right thing to do or this is the wrong thing to do. I think it is wrong for parents to push this idea on them, or to think that a kid is going to be stable enough at 10 years old or 11 years old to make these life-making decisions, right? But to say that we need to have this conversation out in public for all to see, and push forth all these examples of kids that are having this transition, and we need to be sympathetic. I get that we need to be sympathetic, but honestly, if this was all private in the first place, would we even really need to be sympathetic? If nobody even knows, right? If nobody even knows, then do we even need to have this conversation? I don't think that we do. There might be a few times, but we don't need to have it as a societal position that needs to be imposed upon the rest of the community for this incredibly tiny, small fraction of people who are influenced by this, right? I think that's the biggest problem that I'm seeing, is we have CNN news articles that are going on about how something that we would consider abnormal, right? These parents imposing their judgment of gender on this little girl, that's wrong. But having parents impose the will of the gender of the kid onto the kid, as long as the kid's okay with it, that's perfectly fine, right? Like at what point do we draw the line? When do we say, CNN, stop being stop being a hypocrite here? All right, I'm fine with life choices. I'm more libertarian, right? I'm more of leave me the heck alone. I don't want to do anything. Yeah. Thanks, Center Negative. Yeah, the Chill Hop music channel. Sorry, I got distracted. I saw the comment by Center Negative said, I recommend the Chill Hop music channel. That's actually what I was doing, but I got to be careful about like the whole, copyright thing. So I go with the Chill station on pretzel.rocks because it's royalty free and I don't have to worry about YouTube dinging me for having copied content. So yeah, royalty free music. Yep. Okay, so that's look, I'm fine if you have a different opinion about it. I really am. Like I know people who are transgender. Okay, I know them, and I'm okay with them doing whatever the heck they want to do with their lives. What I do have a problem with is when we have, as a culture and a society, this very tiny fraction of a thing becoming a part of the conversation, the daily conversation, to the point where it influences kids who would probably otherwise not have any opinion on the matter. Now all of a sudden they form an opinion when they don't even understand what's going on, because we've made it such a big deal, right? And here I am. I'm contributing to the big deal. I'm contributing to this. It just shouldn't even be a thing, right? If it happens, let it happen in private. And if that kid is being bullied for that specific purpose, then yes, we need to pay attention to that instance, to that one thing that's going on. But that needs to be handled by the people directly involved in the situation. We don't need to have, as a community, as a society, as a United States of America, saying, well, that one person needs to have special protections as a community. Everybody, this person over here in California and LA, right? This whole group of people over here in LA, they're going to show their support for the kid in Alabama by creating their own laws over in LA to prevent XYZ from happening to other people in their area. Like, that's the wrong way of going about it. If you find those instances where it's happening locally, then yes, there should be protections for those people in those specific cases. But when you make it this big, wide, general conversation, this global conversation now, all you're doing is you're influencing, you're creating influence, you're making it cool. You're making it, hey, are you gonna transition? Hey, did you have that conversation with the teacher? That was kind of weird, wasn't it? But it was cool too at the same time. The way that they talked about it was kind of cool, right? Now you're creating this aura that, transgenderism is awesome, that it's cool. I don't know why we would continue to push this. I'm fine with people. If people want to do what they want to do with their bodies, I'm fine with that. But when we've got 10-year-olds and 11-year-olds doing this, we have to say, wait a minute, what's going on here? How is this happening? We have kids that don't even understand. They don't understand Shakespeare. They've never read a single line of Shakespeare, right? They probably barely know their multiplication tables, right? But we're going to impose for the rest of their lives their transition to another gender. Yeah, that makes total sense. All right. Enough of that. So, another thing that kind of came across my screen was, so Facebook. Look, I've been pretty silent on this topic and I get a lot of people that ask me about it. And that is Bitcoin. What do I think about Bitcoin? Is it the wave of the future? Is it the next stable monetary currency, right? Let me put it kind of in a nutshell here. I don't think Bitcoin is the answer. Okay? Any monetary system at all relies upon the confidence of the people in that currency. And what you have to have is a general consensus by the entirety of the people that are going to exchange this currency. They have to have good faith in the currency. And it is a struggle constantly now, especially because of the way the Federal Reserve works and the fact that we don't have the US dollar based upon any sort of hard thing like, it used to be based on gold, right? Some people are advocating that it be based upon silver. Some say it should be based upon oil, some sort of commodity, right? It needs to have some sort of hardened commodity that it is backed by. And some people think that I've heard such outlandish things like, not too outlandish. There was actually a good argument to be made that partly the Great Depression was influenced because of the dependency of the U.S. dollar on gold. But it was really the banks that refused to change over the gold to back the dollar that was kind of the problem. So it wasn't really the gold itself. It wasn't the gold standard, but rather the banks and how they dealt with the situation that caused more of the problem. And of course, there was, buying on margins and stuff like that to do with the stock market. The stock market was still kind of the Wild West. There wasn't a lot of regulation there. So a lot of people did lose a lot because of it. Well, Bitcoin to me is unstable. And there's not, you have a certain group of people that are pushing it, saying, hey, this thing is amazing. The technology is great. It's a very dependable thing. But when you look at it, like I'm just looking at the prices, the Bitcoin price index here, I'll pop this up on the screen. So this is the Bitcoin price index from 2014 to current. Now, if you're going to say that you need something as a currency that's going to be stable, does this look stable to you? I mean, yeah, it's rising, it's falling. I mean, I understand that every currency is going to go through these highs and lows, and they're going to be based upon some sort of system, right? There is typically some sort of system. Like, for example, the US dollar, it kind of has some guardrails to it in that we have foreign exchange, right? Our currency is exchanged into other currencies. And in a lot of ways, our US dollar is influenced. The power of the dollar is influenced partially by those indexes, by how we can exchange into other currencies. And then there's the Federal Reserve. There's there's interest rates, which do actually they do have an impact a little bit on how powerful the dollar is because of how much you have to use in order to pay off debts. And then there's also, of course, how much money is the U.S. government printing and putting out the dollar into the economy. Whereas Bitcoin is it's much more difficult to print money, if you will, right? It's kind of restricted to there's only a certain way you can actually get a Bitcoin created. It actually gets mined through computer processes. So it's an encrypted currency, right? And there's unique coin. But look at the instability that is with this coin. And I think part of this is because of how few people actually use it. I mean, don't get me wrong, the number of people who are using it has grown significantly since its inception. But the total overall majority of people using it as a currency is not really happening. It's not becoming widely adopted as a thing. However, something recently has happened that very well could influence the popularity of cryptocurrency in general. Not specific to Bitcoin, but cryptocurrency as a thing. So some of you guys may know Jack Dorsey, who runs Twitter. He is a backer of Bitcoin. But to this day, I don't believe, I'm not really that big into Twitter, but to my understanding, you can't do any sort of trading of Bitcoin on Twitter, right? I don't think that you can just there's no way to do the exchange through Twitter, right? What is the platform that you go through in order to pay something? Like somebody wants to sell me something, I have to go pay them. What is the system that I'm going to use? Now, there is, I believe Jack Dorsey also runs Square, and Square does have, from what I understand, Square does have, I don't know enough about exactly who is the player in this space and who's got what access. Yeah, so Jack Dorsey last week reiterated his faith in Bitcoin and beginning to make cryptocurrency hires at his payments company, Square. So, yeah, there's some form of ability to do the exchange on Square, which is good. I mean, Square is a big player now in monetary exchange. So, if I want to buy something, I can pay you in Bitcoin using Square. But Facebook Facebook has decided to come out with their own called Libra. And it's a potential rival to Bitcoin. It's reportedly secured backing from Uber, Spotify, and here's the big one, Visa. They've got Visa on board. So Facebook Libra will compete directly with Bitcoin and other major cryptocurrencies, and many have taken it as an endorsement of Bitcoin's core technology and value. Yeah, I can see that. Yeah, I mean, it's an endorsement of basically the technology, right? To say that, okay, here's this thing, we're going to make our own, though. And here is another stumbling block that I think Bitcoin has in general, and all these cryptocurrencies. It's a lot like frameworks and languages, programming languages, right? In that, which one standard are we going to stick to? What is the one that we're going to go to, and is going to be the stable cryptocurrency, right? What's the stable currency that we're going to use? That's kind of a problem right now because, yes, Bitcoin is the big name, but Bitcoin also has a bit of a public image problem right now because there are a ton of weaknesses in Bitcoin. There have been a lot of, people have literally lost Bitcoins, like just lost it. It's gone. Right? And you lose $1, obviously. You can lose money, but just the way that the aura of uncertainty around Bitcoin is a big barrier to Bitcoin's acceptance right now. And having Facebook come in with their own, and then you've got, I mean, there's, if you looked at a list of cryptocurrencies, there's like hundreds of them that all have their own different things that they're being made on. I mean, there's some funny ones too. But to me, I think that you have to have one stable currency that everybody just kind of says, okay, this is it. This is the one we're going to go with. And when you have, 20 different specs of a currency, and then somebody comes along and says, you know what, we need to unify, right? This is the joke, right? We need to come up with one unifying standard. And what happens? Now you have 21 standards, right? It's like you never really get to the point where you have that one stable base currency. And I think that's the main problem Bitcoin has right now, or just cryptocurrency in general, is there's going to be so many different versions. Bitcoin is the big name, but because it continues to have problems with, it has problems, everything from vulnerability of theft, there's the Sybil attack, there's packet sniffing, there's DOS attacks, forcing clock drift against a target node, illegal content in the blockchain, security vulnerabilities and bugs, energy consumption, the breaking the cryptography, scalability, segmentation, dropping transactions. Attacker has computing power, spamming transactions, the Finney attack, rival malicious client code. Like, there's a lot of uncertainty about it. It's a technology thing, which means you can't make something unhackable. You really can't. You can make things almost impossible to hack to the point where it makes no sense to try to do it, but that doesn't mean people aren't going to do it. People are going to find the vulnerabilities, and that is a problem. We need to be careful about doing that. Now, that Bitcoin index, I mean, don't get me wrong, somebody buying down here in 2016 when it was $429, and then they cash out at, 17 or whatever it comes out to, and we're almost hitting 10 again here, right? That's quite a bit of money. So there's a lot of people saying, oh, there's a lot of appeal to this, but where do you go? Do you go to Square? How do you get your money? And the whole point of currency is that you don't need to exchange it at all, really, right? It's an exchange of hands. The whole purpose of currency is not to convert one thing into another, to convert, money into other money. The purpose of currency is to exchange between people. I want a service or a good. Here is my Bitcoin. Okay, that's what we want to be able to do. Do you know? I mean, there are some people that are doing Bitcoin vendoring, right? There's some people that are accepting Bitcoin now as a form of payment, and that's pretty cool. But really, you're just transitioning dollars into Bitcoin, and then you're transitioning Bitcoin back into dollars, because in the real world, in reality, what are we doing? We're paying for our food. We're paying for our houses. We're paying for our car payments. We're paying for insurance. All of these companies. Can I go to the apartment complex and pay them online with Bitcoin? No, I have to pay them in U.S. dollar. Can I go down? Is the bank that I have my car loan through, are they going to accept Bitcoin? No, I got to pay them in U.S. dollar. I mean, the list goes on. Can I go down to the store and pay them in Bitcoin to go get my food? No, I have to pay them in U.S. dollar. So really, Bitcoin is really just a proxy for the US dollar. That's really what's going on. It's a proxy, right? But it's this inflated proxy of the US dollar. It's changing. And yes, you can convert Bitcoin into some other currency if you wanted to. You could change it into the yen or or I don't know, the Deutschmark if you want, right? Or the euro. You can exchange it over to whatever you want, but the bottom line is Bitcoin itself has not really established itself, as far as I can tell, as a true, real currency that is easily fluid from one person to another. That's the main problem. Yes, I can change it from me to someone else for a particular service or good, but then they also have to do another conversion. And that right now is a big problem. That's going to be a big hurdle for Bitcoin. They have to gain more and more acceptance as a form of payment for regular everyday things. For things like buying a car, buying a house, buying food. Okay? Once that becomes acceptable, then I think we're going to see something. Okay? But until we get to that point, I just don't. It's a neat, fascinating thing. People are making money off of it. Good for them. But is it going to take over for the dollar? No, it's not. And that's kind of also what we see as far as, and just to kind of reemphasize that point, what I'm seeing as far as in this article that I was looking at, let me take this, actually, you know what, here you can, where'd it go? There we go. So you can see this yourself. So Facebook Libra, potential rival, compete directly with Bitcoin and other major cryptocurrencies, has taken an endorsement of Bitcoin's core technology and value. So here's the thing, though. So Facebook's Bitcoin rival, Libra, as far as we know it's going to be called, is a so-called stable coin pegged to the US dollar and other major currencies. So it's supposed to be integrated as a payment tool on Facebook's popular messaging apps, WhatsApp, Messenger, and photo sharing app, Instagram. So there is kind of the adoption, but once again, it's still based upon some other currency. That's the thing. In order for Bitcoin or any other cryptocurrency to be accepted, there has to be this easy exchange and easy payment. I need to be able to use that dollar, use that cryptocurrency to pay for my daily things. Otherwise, it's just a proxy. It's just something I use in order to get money from one place to another. And that's fine. You know, it's like a Western Union, right? It's like I can send you money and I can do it over the wire without having to worry about actually going into Western Union and paying their, abysmal fee structure in order to get money to you. I can just do this over the cryptocurrency and you can convert it then into whatever dollars. But there's still a fee in that transaction. There's still a fee in that process, and it can take a lot of time to do the conversion from the cryptocurrency to a dollar or vice versa. So I just don't see this as right now unless things really, really change, unless there's a significant shakeup in the way that it works. I just don't see it as being that thing that replaces or supplants it. Okay. So let's go ahead and take a look at what we got for chat. Who's saying what? Survivalizer. When Bitcoin pops, it's probably a crypto virus in the microcode. Why doesn't someone do a protein folding coin and cure effing cancer already? Steve, look into arc.io and Hedera Hashgraph. Okay. I've heard a lot about Hashgraph. I have. Arc has smart contracts. Okay. And so does Hashgraph. Bitcoin is like taking gold on a pirate ship. If it sinks, it's hard to retrieve. It's called the Byzantine generals problem. They already have that pegged to the dollar coin. Yeah, so it's they call it stable coin, right? Because it's pegged to some other currency, and that helps a lot in the transition from one to another. But why not just call it the dollar? Like, why not? Why make it another currency if you're just going to peg it to something else? Why not just make it a dollar? I mean, basically all you're doing is you're privatizing, and maybe this is the good thing. You're privatizing the dollar. That might actually be kind of a good thing. I don't know. We'll see about that. But I do think having it pegged to the dollar just kind of, so then why not just do the dollar? Right? Why not? Because you're not allowed to print dollars. Right, you're not allowed to print dollars, but that's the problem. It doesn't matter if it's the government printing the dollar or you're printing the dollar. You're still increasing you're creating inflation, right? Whether it's the private citizen that's creating it or it's the government, it's still inflation. You're just having more of them. Now, to say that it's backed by the dollar, so it's kind of like how the dollar was previously backed by gold, right? Some sort of commodity. So essentially all you're doing is you're saying cryptocurrency is backed by the commodity of a dollar. Dollar then becomes the commodity, right? That's kind of what happens. Well, the dollar, what is it based on? Well, it's not based upon anything anymore. It's not based upon any commodity. It's based upon whatever the U.S. government says it's worth, right? Definitely, except BTC only has 21 million coins and has already passed the peak point. I'm not sure what you mean by that. So BTC is only 21 million coins, has already passed the peak point. So you're saying like there's only going to be 21 million coins ever, and so it's stable like that. But so then how is it based upon? So the Bitcoin is not based on the dollar. It's different. So it will never mine more than 21 million coins. Okay, so that's how the value goes up. So if we've already reached that, then there's no reason for us to do any more mining, right? It's past the halfway point. So they have a cap. So and that's good. So they have a cap on things. I do think that a cap on the amount that you can have. Mining gives you fees now. Yeah, you know far more about this. Maybe I'll have to have a conversation with you about it. Maybe get a little bit more context, because I'm not real heavy into Bitcoin. I'm watching it from afar. I totally admit I'm not in the trenches. I don't watch it on a regular daily basis. And I know a lot of people who do are really, really into it and really think it's the wave of the future. I just have my concerns. I think that, we're basically, in my opinion, cryptocurrency is a proxy for the actual dollars that the individuals are using. And that may be fine. That's perfectly fine. But anybody who makes a claim that it is going to overtake the dollar, or it's going to overtake the yen, or it's going to overtake these other currencies, it's just not going to happen probably in our lifetime, right? It's just probably not going to happen anytime soon, unless something catastrophic happens, right? BTC, in my opinion, is evil. Other cryptocurrencies are much, much better. Okay. But the problem with that is also, Survivalizer, is that it's the one that everybody knows, right? If you're going to get wide acceptance, wide adoption of something, because that's really what you've got to have. Everybody has to agree that this is the standard now, right? That's what makes it a standard. Everybody has to agree to it. So what's the standard? And when you have 20 competing standards and somebody comes along and says, you know what? We got too many standards here. We need to create one unifying standard, right? One to bring them all together. And then you just end up having 21 standards. That's what's going to continue to happen, because that's That's kind of the nature of technology and the way that people think about technology. And that's how all of these cryptocurrencies are based. It's just not going to get to where people want it to be. Yeah. Yes, but BTC is using more energy than the entire country of Denmark. Well, okay. All right. Well, I do have to cut it off there. Thanks, everybody, for joining me today. I do appreciate it. I hope that you guys are enjoying these topics. If you guys got something you want me to talk about, please drop me a comment in the comment section below this video. And if it's a good one, I will definitely do it. All right. Thanks, Survivalizer. See you later. I don't know if you want me to use your first name. It's weird calling you Survivalizer. It really is. Anyway, we'll talk to you guys later. Thank you so much for joining me. Oh, also, I do want to, before I go, I already ended this, but so I was able to change the channel name, or actually officially get the URL on YouTube. So now you can actually find my channel now on youtube.com/Coffee with Steve. Awesome, right? Now that I have at least 100 subscribers, I was able to sign up and get the URL under my name. So youtube.com/Coffee with Steve is now officially available. Also, you can still, of course, go to coffeewithsteve.info, and that'll also take you to my YouTube channel. And don't forget, I'm also on Facebook at Coffee with Steve B. And I post a lot of memes and stuff up there, stuff that I find interesting. I post it up there. And, if there's any news or anything, I will post it up there about the channel. So thanks to everybody for joining me today. I hope you guys have a wonderful Tuesday, and talk to you tomorrow. Bye-bye.